So as you look back, what I'm hearing from you is an individual with one company. You started after you had a lot of business experience and many years in already, who went through all of these things only one time. So every time you went through another phase, it was brand new,
Yes.
and you had to figure it out. Now you found one book that was helpful, which is great, but maybe not quite enough at the time. If somebody owns a business and they don't bring that experience of having started 10 businesses, 15 businesses, it's everything is kind of new to them. What's the context that they need to be operating in to be able to understand what not only what happened to them, but what's about to happen to them?
Well, one thing I think when you and I were talking yesterday that we mentioned a lot of CEOs, especially in smaller companies, the reality is they take what I would describe as an idiosyncratic approach to management. And what do we mean by that? We mean people are quirky. People have priorities that are their own personal priorities. They bring their own personal worldviews into their management style. Uh, I was in a networking webinar last night, and there was a gentleman who was a CEO of billion-dollar companies that participated in the webinar. He made a really interesting point. You need visionary management in order to make these kinds of things come together. 98% of managers, of owners, are functional managers,
They're not visionaries?
not remotely.
That's very surprising to me. I would think most people who start companies are visionaries and then they have trouble with the operations side.
They might have a little bit of vision as to, I would describe it. They have a passion for a product, or they have
Mhm.
a passion for a way of doing business that they just love what they do, and they have no problem being immersed in it. But they're not really what I would describe as students of uh, business practice and theory. You know,
Hmm.
you would hope that. I mean, certainly some are, but the ability to look farther ahead and anticipate what are the demands on my organization going to be? What are the demands in the finance group? What are the demands in sales? What are the demands in marketing? What are the demands in operation? How am I going to take the ragged edges of what I created and turn it into a solid, finely tuned, really well running organization and operation? That I hope I'm answering your question, but that's the devil. And a lot of times, if you were to ask someone as a consultant, why do you do it that way? Whatever it is. Maybe I process a claim, or maybe I, have a customer interaction. Why do you do it that way? Well, that's the way we've always done it. That's gonna be your answer. That's the way we've always done it. And have you taken a look at the process that you use and mapped it out
Hmm.
to figure out, well, I like the expression, sometimes the marbles are rolling around on the table, right? That's business, but you don't want the marbles to fall off the table because
Hmm.
they hit the ground hard and sometimes they shatter, right? So what the CEO needs to be able to do is he needs to understand his business so well, and all the moving pieces of the business so well, at least at an executive level, so that he can understand how to deploy new process, new procedures, new operational elements in order to refine it to the point where the marbles quit falling off the table.
I think what's interesting about about what you're saying is that if you're describing, tell me if I got this right, if you're describing most CEOs that founded small businesses as individuals that are not necessarily visionaries, but they're very good at a particular function or task or capability that they know how to bring to the market, maybe better than anybody else. Now you're asking them to do what you just described, which is to chart a course and map out a future, and make sure all the pieces are in place. You have an inherent contradiction, in terms of what's needed and what the skill sets are in the company.
Without a doubt.
How do you reconcile that contradiction?
Well, in practice, one of two or three things will happen. Either the business will ultimately fail because the CEO did not rise to the occasion, or the CEO will work very hard to develop their vision and to develop their skill set to be much more forward-looking. Or organizations that grow really fast and take outside capital end up replacing the CEO.
So you get fired by the people who buy your company, essentially.
Yeah, and we went through a period where we were trying to raise capital, and we actually, because we were so highly leveraged at the time, we had one offer that after, all my years of time, effort, and energy and passion, I was going to be left with 5% of the company.
Well, luckily you didn't take that.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. So sometimes you get the defining moments where you say, am I going to do it or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I was bound and determined to fight every battle I needed to fight and improve my skills to the level that I need to improve them. And I would say, again, as we discussed the other day, having never done it before, how long did it take George to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, realistically, somewhere between 10 and 12 years to get fully calibrated with the right team, the right people, the right quality control, the right process management, so that the company ran really smoothly, the product ran really smoothly, the management team, and that's where it starts. The management team understood what effective working together really means,